Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 embarked on a seemingly routine journey on March 8, 2014. The flight was scheduled to cover a distance of approximately 2,700 miles, a journey that should have taken around 6 hours. The passengers, hailing from 14 different nations, were a mix of tourists, business travelers, and families, all looking forward to reaching their destination. The Boeing 777, carrying 227 passengers and 12 crew members, took off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport at 12:41 a.m. local time, its destination, Beijing, China. The weather was clear and the conditions were ideal for a smooth flight. The crew, led by Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, a seasoned pilot with over 18,000 flight hours, and First Officer Fariq Abdul Hamid, were well prepared for the journey. The initial leg of the flight proceeded without incident. The aircraft climbed to its cruising altitude of 35,000 feet and the passengers settled in for the overnight flight. In the cockpit, the pilots monitored the instruments and maintained regular communication with air traffic control. The crew made routine contact with air traffic control and nothing seemed amiss. They reported their position and confirmed their flight path, following standard procedures. Everything appeared to be going according to plan. At 1:19 a.m., as MH370 approached Vietnamese airspace, the unthinkable occurred. The aircraft's transponder, which communicates with ground radar, was inexplicably turned off. This sudden loss of communication was the first indication that something was terribly wrong. The plane deviated from its planned flight path. Instead of continuing northeast towards Beijing, it made a sharp turn to the west. This unexpected maneuver took the aircraft off its intended route and into uncharted territory. It veered sharply westward, disappearing from Malaysian military radar screens shortly after. The radar blip that represented MH370 vanished, leaving air traffic controllers and military personnel scrambling to understand what had happened. The last communication from the cockpit, a routine handover to Vietnamese air traffic control, was chillingly normal. Captain Zahari's final words, "Good night, Malaysian 370, gave no hint of the impending crisis. The disappearance of MH370 sent shockwaves around the world. News of the missing flight spread rapidly, and families of the passengers and crew were plunged into a state of anxiety and despair. The media coverage was relentless, with every major news outlet providing updates and speculating on the possible causes of the disappearance. It quickly became apparent that this was no ordinary aviation incident. Experts from around the globe weighed in, offering theories ranging from technical malfunctions to more sinister possibilities. The lack of concrete information only fueled the speculation and uncertainty. This was an unprecedented event, shrouded in mystery, and met with a mixture of disbelief and growing concern. The aviation community was particularly stunned, as modern aircraft like the Boeing 777 are equipped with multiple safety systems designed to prevent such occurrences. The world watched and waited, hoping for answers that seemed impossible to find. As days turned into weeks, the search for MH370 became one of the largest and most complex in aviation history. Despite the efforts of numerous countries and the deployment of advanced technology, the fate of the flight remained elusive, leaving a void that continues to haunt those affected by the tragedy. The sudden disappearance of MH370 from radar screens sparked immediate confusion and alarm among aviation authorities. Air traffic controllers in both Malaysia and Vietnam scrambled to establish contact with the aircraft, but their efforts proved futile and frustrating. The plane had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and deepening mystery.
As minutes turned into hours, the gravity of the situation became increasingly clear and alarming. A massive search and rescue operation was launched, involving multiple countries and a flotilla of ships and aircraft working tirelessly. The search zone, initially focused on the Gulf of Thailand, expanded rapidly as investigators grappled with the baffling lack of any sign of the missing plane.
The disappearance of MH370 was particularly perplexing due to the advanced technology on board the Boeing 777, a modern marvel. The aircraft was equipped with multiple communication systems and a transponder that should have continued to emit signals even in the event of a catastrophic failure. Yet all attempts to locate the plane using conventional means proved fruitless and deeply frustrating. Days turned into weeks as the search for MH370 expanded into one of the largest and most complex in aviation history. The disappearance of the Malaysia Airlines flight on March 8, 2014, left the world in shock and disbelief. Families of the 239 passengers and crew members clung to hope as search teams from various countries joined forces to uncover the mystery. International teams collaborated, deploying sophisticated sonar equipment and underwater drones to scour the vast expanse of the Indian Ocean. The search area was immense, covering thousands of square miles of deep and treacherous waters. The teams faced numerous challenges, from unpredictable weather conditions to the sheer depth of the ocean, which made the task even more daunting. The lack of a debris field or any concrete evidence of the plane's fate only deepened the mystery. Despite the extensive efforts, the ocean seemed to swallow any trace of the aircraft, leaving search teams frustrated and families in anguish. The vastness of the search area and the depth of the ocean made it feel like looking for a needle in a haystack.
A glimmer of hope emerged from an unexpected source: satellite data. Inmarsat, a British satellite telecommunications company, had been receiving hourly signals, or handshakes, from MH370. These signals, though not containing any location data, indicated that the plane had continued to communicate with the satellite for several hours after it vanished from radar. Analysis of signals received by a commercial satellite revealed that MH370 had continued flying for several hours after its disappearance from radar. This breakthrough was significant, as it suggested that the plane had not crashed immediately after losing contact with air traffic control. Instead, it had flown on for hours, heading south into one of the most remote parts of the world. This data, while limited, provided crucial clues about the plane's possible trajectory and narrowed down the search area to a remote stretch of the southern Indian Ocean. The new search zone, though still vast, was more focused, giving search teams a better chance of finding the wreckage. The analysis of the satellite data was a painstaking process, involving complex calculations and cross-referencing with other data sources.
The satellite data, however, also painted a grim picture. The signals indicated that the plane had been flying on a consistent path, likely on autopilot, until it ran out of fuel. This suggested that the crew and passengers might have been incapacitated, unable to control the aircraft. The analysis suggested that MH370 had flown on autopilot for hours, before eventually running out of fuel and crashing into the ocean. This theory, while providing a possible explanation for the plane's final moments, raised more questions about what had happened on board. Why had the plane deviated from its course? What had caused the crew to lose control? This revelation, while providing some insight into the plane's final moments, did little to answer the fundamental question: why did MH370 deviate from its course in the first place? The mystery of MH370 remains one of the greatest unsolved puzzles in aviation history. The search for answers continues, driven by the hope that one day the truth will be uncovered and the families of those on board will find closure. The absence of a definitive explanation for MH370's disappearance created a vacuum quickly filled by speculation and a multitude of theories. The world watched in disbelief as one of the most advanced aircraft simply vanished without a trace. This unprecedented event left experts and the general public alike scrambling for answers, each new piece of information only deepening the mystery. Experts and amateur sleuths alike grappled with the limited information, proposing scenarios ranging from the plausible to the outlandish. Some suggested technical malfunctions, while others pointed to more sinister possibilities. The internet became a hotbed of activity, with forums and social media platforms buzzing with theories and counter-theories. The lack of concrete evidence only fueled the fire, making it a global puzzle that everyone wanted to solve.
The mystery of MH370 became fertile ground for conspiracy theories, fueled by the lack of concrete answers and the human need to make sense of the inexplicable. From alien abductions to government cover-ups, the theories were as varied as they were numerous. Each new headline seemed to bring a fresh wave of speculation, keeping the story alive in the public consciousness. The media played a significant role in this, often sensationalizing unverified information to keep audiences engaged. Theories about what happened to MH370 can be broadly categorized into three main areas: deliberate pilot action, hijacking, and mechanical failure. Some believed that the pilot had a hidden agenda, while others thought the plane had been taken over by terrorists. Mechanical failure, though less sensational, was also a strong contender. Each theory had its proponents and detractors, and each brought its own set of questions and challenges. Each of these possibilities presented its own set of questions and challenges, with no single theory offering a complete and satisfactory explanation for the events of that fateful night. Investigators were left to sift through a mountain of data, each piece potentially holding the key to the mystery. The complexity of the case meant that even the most seasoned experts were often left scratching their heads, unsure of which direction to pursue next.
The investigation, hampered by the lack of a wreckage site and the vastness of the search area, focused on analyzing the available data, including radar tracks, satellite communications, and the plane's maintenance records. Each piece of data was meticulously examined, but the lack of physical evidence made it difficult to draw definitive conclusions. The search area, spanning thousands of square miles, presented a logistical nightmare, further complicating efforts to find the missing aircraft. However, with each passing day, the hope of finding definitive answers dwindled, leaving the world to grapple with the unsettling possibility that the mystery of MH370 might never be fully solved. The search efforts, though extensive, yielded little in the way of concrete evidence. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the likelihood of finding the wreckage seemed to diminish. The families of the missing passengers were left in a state of limbo, their grief compounded by the lack of closure. The world watched and waited, hoping against hope for a breakthrough that might finally bring an end to the mystery.